Hello and welcome to the Northwest Treatment Vidcast.
Hello, Jessica.
Hey, Léa. What are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about adjusting our perception of what normal is.
Right, right. Getting used to the new reality of everything going on and specifically how we all kind of were brought up and what we learned.
Yeah, so one of the easiest ways I have to explain this to clients is I always like to remind them of think about the first time you went to your friend's house for dinner.
When you were young.
Yeah.
Got it.
And the reason is, I don't know about you, but my family definitely is unique in many things that they do. We're big, we're loud. We always want to talk to the person that is across the way from you, never the one that's next to you. And the first time I went to a friend's house, it was quiet. People were they stopped and listened to each other. And it was definitely kind of a culture shock for me a little bit because that's not how I was raised.
Sometimes a completely different food, sometimes completely different space and understanding of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the other part of it is also that we like normal, quote unquote, like whatever our typical happens to be is super comfortable, even if it's not comfortable, right? Like addiction, depression, or whatever it is. But whatever my personal normal is, I have a lazy boy there. There's my Netflix account. I will sit there forever and I do not want to change it.
Yeah, it is very difficult for any of us to kind of want to be uncomfortable. We will do all kinds of things, even things that are not good for us and we know aren't good for us,
Yes.
just to avoid being uncomfortable, having uncomfortable conversations, wanting to leave a party but not wanting to say goodbye to people. So we stay there and are miserable. There's all kinds of stuff we'll do. One of the things I know, Léa, that we've talked about in the past is the author Brene Brown, and she has a whole bunch of different books on shame and blame and all these feelings, and she's great at kind of describing and talking about the pros and cons of leaning into that change, leaning into that uncomfortability so we can learn.
Exactly. And once you kind of get through that change, you look back and you're like, oh, that wasn't so hard. That was a lot better than I expected. And that's actually why I really like Brene Brown, is because it kind of gives you a little bit of that hope of if you just lean into it, it's not going to be as bad as you think it is.
Right. It can be a very daunting idea and something that we don't want to talk about or don't want to deal with and we'll just keep ignoring and life is fine. But it's definitely one of those things that a common phrase I use in my groups for substance abuse stuff is that entropy wins in the end. We're not here, we're only here for a limited amount of time. We want to do better. We want to be better. And so we want to be able to deal with uncomfortable conversations or situations to learn, to grow, to be better.
And actually, you have a metaphor that I absolutely love for change and adjusting our perception of what's normal and what's not, about the crab.
The crab, which you've pointed out to me, is the hermit crab,
Yes, it's a
apparently.
hermit crab.
I heard it a long time ago, but it was this idea of how hermit crabs, when they're growing, they have shells and they'll grow into their nice little home and everything's happy and satisfied, but they keep growing like we all kind of either physically or emotionally do. But then eventually the crab is no longer able to fit in their current home. And then they have to go find another one. But oftentimes they won't very quickly, so that they actually are in physical pain being smushed into a tiny home. But the thought process of leaving what they know of, leaving that current, what was comfortable, even if it's not now, home, to look for a new one, the idea is scary, let alone the idea that you could, while being without a new home, get picked up by a predator. So it's just being aware of it, trying to lean into that uncomfortability and change for the better.
Right. And as you change, you start to realize that normal's a little bit different, or your typical is going to change. Like, I don't necessarily always like to use the word normal, but your typical is going to change as you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing, and it's just like when we grew up, we might see the idea of a home is two parents and one child, or you might grow up and have one parent and five children. There's all kinds of different options. It's about finding out how we're happy and where we kind of can be the best version of ourselves. And we just need to, with everything going on right now, learn both for our own selves, our own family, and then our place in the world, how to adjust our perceptions.
Well, and a lot of like the normal ones that you and I had talked about was the mask, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not a cultural norm in the West to wear a mask when you're sick, as much as it is over in like Asian countries where it's a pretty normal norm that if you're feeling a little bit sick, you wear a mask to protect other people. And I mean, I every time I go out nowadays, there's a mask on my face. It's becoming my new normal. Like it's just part of it now.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where there's like 3 or 4 masks in each car. There's 2 in a
Mm-hmm.
purse. Myself and my roommate are lucky and can sew. I know you sew. And
Yep.
we've been making masks to donate or to have. And it's now the new accessory, and I've been seeing new blogs online that are focusing on eye makeup instead of lip gloss or lipstick because you're wearing a mask.
Exactly.
All kinds of different things to adjust to this and to help adjust.
And like how to zhuzh up your hair. It's great.
Right.
And so with that, we wish you to be well and to be healthy.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.